Hey guys, here I've got the Westinghouse 12,000 watt dual fuel generator running on gasoline. Now, one question I get all the time is, what happens if you switch it straight to propane without shutting it off? So, I flipped the switch to propane, and it kept running perfectly smooth. Then, I switched it back to gasoline and it still didn't turn off. Today, I'll be answering the most common questions I've received about this generator after using it for a while. And at the end of the video, I will also share some tips to help you get the most out of it. So stick around for that. Let's get right into it. One of the most common questions I get is, how long does it run on gasoline and propane? Well, with a full 6.6-gallon gasoline tank, this generator can run for about 8 hours at 50% load. On the other hand, using a 20-pump propane tank like the one I'm using in this video, it lasts around 7 hours at 50% load. Another question I often get asked is, how loud does it get? Well, it is definitely on the louder side, hitting over 90 decibels whether it is running on gasoline or propane. So, this is something you'll want to keep in mind, especially if noise levels are a concern for you. The next one is, can I use this generator indoors? The answer is a definite no. It gives off carbon monoxide, which is a dangerous gas you can't see or smell. Always use the generator outside in an open space with plenty of fresh air and make sure it is at least 25 feet away from your house to stay safe. Now, here's another question people frequently ask me. How portable is it? It comes with big wheels that make it easy to move around, even on uneven surfaces. However, keep in mind that it is really heavy, around 200 pounds. So, if you're planning to lift it into a truck or move it to a higher spot, this isn't something you can do alone. You will definitely need help from someone else. The next one is, can you use the generator without putting motor oil? The answer is a definite no. Motor oil is essential to keep the engine lubricated and prevent it from overheating or getting damaged. Running the generator without oil can cause serious harm to the engine and might even ruin it completely. Another question I get is, can it run on natural gas? Well, this dual fuel model specifically cannot run on natural gas. If you want that capability, you'll need to look for the tri-fuel option, which is designed to run on gasoline, propane, and natural gas. Another question is, what appliances can it power at the same time? Well, this all depends on the load. This generator can handle up to 9,500 watts of continuous load on gasoline and 8,500 watts on propane, which is enough to run your central air conditioning system, refrigerators, and other appliances simultaneously. Make sure to calculate the wattage of everything you're using, and remember that larger appliances like a central AC unit need extra power to start up. Another question I often get is, can I start it remotely? The answer is yes. It comes with a key fob that lets you start it from up to 100 meters away. Plus, it also has a button for automatic startup and a manual handle for backup. So, you've got multiple ways to get it up and running. Another question is, what happens if the battery runs out? Well, this can happen if the generator sits unused for a while. Luckily, it comes with a charger to keep the battery topped off, and if the battery does run out, you can always start it manually using the recoil handle. Once it's running, the generator will slowly recharge the battery while in use. Another common question is, can I use the generator in the rain? The answer is no. Water can damage it and cause electric shock. However, you can use a tent running cover made for generators to keep it safe and running in wet conditions. So, the next question is, what maintenance is required and when do I need to do it? I saved this question for last because it is one of the most important topics, and it's something I really want to dive into in detail. Proper maintenance is key to keeping your generator running smoothly and ensuring it lasts for years to come. Let's break it down step by step. When it comes to maintenance, there are 5 key things to keep in mind. The first 3 apply whether you're using propane or gasoline. Let's start with the most important one, oil changes. According to the manual, it is recommended to do the first oil change after the initial 25 hours of use. This is crucial because the first few hours of operation may produce small debris and particles in the oil as the engine breaks in. After that, You should change the oil every 50 hours of use or every 6 months, depending on how often you use it. The type of oil you will need depends on your local temperature conditions. For example, the generator comes with a 4-stroke oil, which works well for standard climates. However, if you live in extreme climate conditions, you may need a different oil. Here is a quick guide based on temperature ranges to help you choose the right one. The next thing to keep in mind for maintenance is replacing the air filter. It is located on the side of the generator and is easy to access. How often you need to replace it depends on how dirty the environment is where you're using the generator. For regular use, you should clean it periodically by removing it and washing it with the soapy water. Just be sure to let it dry completely before putting it back. You will generally want to replace it after about 300 hours of use or sooner if it looks worn or damaged. The next thing is the spark plug. It's recommended to inspect and clean it every 100 hours of use to make sure it is in good condition. If it's worn out or not working properly, you'll need to replace it. Typically, it is a good idea to replace the spark plug after 300 hours of use to keep the generator running smoothly and efficiently. If you're using the generator only with propane, that's pretty much all you need to care about for maintenance. However, if you're using it with gasoline, there are a couple more things to consider. One of them is replacing the fuel filter. Fuel filters typically last a long time and don't need frequent attention. But, according to the manual, it is recommended to replace it every 100 hours of use to keep the fuel system clean and running efficiently. Here's a quick list of the replacement part numbers for maintenance. Another crucial thing to remember when using gasoline is proper storage. If you're not planning to use the generator for an extended period, it's best to run it until all the gasoline in the tank is used up. This prevents leftover fuel from sitting in the tank and degrading over time, which can lead to clogs and damage to the fuel system. Alternatively, you can add the fuel stabilizer to the gasoline in the tank. A fuel stabilizer is a special additive that keeps the gasoline fresh and prevents it from breaking down into harmful residues. So that's pretty much everything you need to know about maintaining this generator. Now, let me share my recommendation. I prefer using propane over gasoline, and here's why. Propane burns cleaner, which means less carbon buildup in the engine, making it last longer with less frequent maintenance. It is also more convenient because it doesn't degrade over time like gasoline does. So you don't have to worry about draining the tank or adding fuel stabilizers if you're not using the generator for a while. Plus, propane is easier to store and safer to handle. Here's another tip. If you're planning to use the generator continuously, make sure to take breaks every 12 to 16 hours to let the engine cool down and prevent overheating. And if you're using gasoline, always turn off the generator and let it cool completely before refueling to ensure safety. I also recommend always storing your generator in a dry, covered spot to protect it from rust and moisture. I will leave the links to all the available versions of this generator below. I hope I answered your questions, but if you still have more, feel free to leave a comment. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe for more content.